This morning, a growing fight between Harvard and the White House as the Ivy League hits back with a lawsuit over the funding freeze, calling the cuts unconstitutional. So these are grants. They're unconstitutional. Meanwhile, the White House is reportedly considering pulling another $1 billion in funding, accusing it of failing to address anti-Semitism on campus and ending its DEI programs. Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett joins us now. Greg, what about the tactic of not only saying no, but suing back?
Sure, that's a possibility. I mean, look, Harvard seems to be under the mistaken impression that it has a right to government grants. Well, the geniuses there at Harvard might want to check Webster's dictionary because a grant is a gift. It's discretionary. The government can give money or not. And it can also make the grants conditional. So in other words, stop the rampant anti-Semitism on campus, protect the targeted Jewish students instead of coddling protesters that are threatening those students, and ensure diversity viewpoints and the hostile ideological intolerance. Get back to your core values, educating young people. But Harvard, run by far-left faculty, refuses to do that, so it stands to lose close to $3 billion or more. And that is their choice. And, maybe it's time that a private university with a fat $52 billion endowment start paying some taxes. That's also at stake here.
I mean, let's just people so you know where we're at right now. Harvard filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration. The administration requests the IRS revoke the tax-exempt status. The DHS threatened to deny foreign students from enrolling because we want to find out about their background. We're seeing some of the anti-Americanism, anti-Semitism, anti-Israeli attitude arise, and freezing $2.2 billion, as you know, in federal funds. So Harvard says also that by halting any of the research, they're also hurting the chances of fighting cancer and helping soldiers coming back from war. But if you're 501c3, you have to be unbiased. Yet you could turn around if you're prosecuting this case, Greg, but you're the expert, and say, prove to me you're unbiased, because only 3% of your faculty is conservative. Prove to me you're unbiased when we look at your curriculum, especially when it comes to political science and foreign affairs and Middle East culture. And they might not like that examination.
Right. You should have been a lawyer. Good argument, Brian. Legally, Harvard, I think, is facing an uphill battle. Try to explain in court why a super-rich, elite private university with a shameful record of bias and intolerance should receive billions in taxpayer money, while the gift giver, the government here, cannot set reasonable conditions. One of the important questions, has Harvard stopped violating civil rights with radically discriminatory quotas, which the Supreme Court found the university guilty of? The Trump administration quite reasonably wants to know, have you fixed it? And if you have not fixed it, by law, Harvard can be deprived of federal funds. They can also lose their tax-exempt status for violating religious freedom amid all of the ugly anti-Semitism on Harvard's campus.
Yeah, by the way, Billy Jones in Indiana, the valedictorian, doesn't get in, but some guy from the Middle East does, some activist from Syria or Algeria. I'm pretty sure the American people are fed up with that. Also, just real quick, a statement from the administration essentially saying the gravy train is over. And they came out with this last night. The gravy train of federal assistance to institutions like Harvard, which enrich their grossly overpaid bureaucrats with taxpayer dollars from struggling American families, is coming to an end. And guess what? Taxpayer funds are a privilege, and Harvard fails to meet the basic conditions. And lastly, you know who's prosecuting Harvard's case? Robert Hur. All those horrible things you said about Robert Hur when he interviewed President Biden, now you love him? I don't know if they can have it both ways. Very interesting.
Yeah, Harvard doesn't teach anymore. It indoctrinates. And taxpayers shouldn't pay for that far-left intolerance and anti-Semitism.
I'm so glad I refused to go there. I made a statement. I refused to get the grades necessary to get in. And I'm so glad I made that stand young. I appreciate it, Greg. All right.
I still have my rejection letter from Harvard Law School.
Right. I didn't give him the satisfaction of rejecting me. I rejected myself. Thanks so much,
Attaboy.
Greg.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.